Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of Alchemy. Today we're speaking about high stakes, the high stakes conversations. This is coming off the back of me finishing my course and launching it last night. If you're on my email list, you would have got a message about it. And putting together that course, it was really obvious. We've got to chat about this particular topic on the podcast because it's all about managing high stakes conversations, getting what you want when the chips are down, when the pressure's on, when there's capital on the line, a new job, a new client, or even like if you're just going to the bank, you want to refinance your loan. Whenever there's something really meaningful on the line that you want and that you're also hoping that thing's going to solve your problem. You've got a problem there that you're wanting this solution to solve. That's when we've got to be able to communicate in a way where we're not influenced by pressure, and we're not playing down what we're saying because we're nervous, or we're not overdoing it because we're trying to beat everyone, and the pressure's getting us to behave in that way. Being able to be with high stakes in conversation is such an important thing, and that's what we're going to be speaking about today, because essentially high stakes feel like high stakes for two reasons. Okay. So obviously there's something that we want. But the main kicker, what screws everyone, and why so many people actually avoid high stakes conversations. I know so many people, they'd rather experience all of their problems than actually get out there and initiate a sales meeting that's going to help them make the money that they want, go and put themselves on a public stage and speak to a group of people to get their business out there, or to actually begin their journey as a public speaker. I know plenty of people that want to do that. You know, people won't do it because they don't want to feel that, oh my God, there's something on the line here. And it's because there's a problem. There's a problem there that's got our mind, and we're choosing to focus on it. And I want to dig into that first. Okay. And I speak about this on the course. Problems become problems because, one, we don't we don't think we can be with it. Okay. So let's say you've got um debt. Okay, we've spoken about this on the podcast, but I'll use the example because you know it. We've got debt. And you choose, you're like, okay, well, it's actually not in my truth to pay down the debt right now. So what's going to happen? So if you've got a thing with debt, like an emotional or mental thing, your thoughts, your limiting beliefs, your worst case scenarios are going to come at you. Your body's going to feel certain emotions that aren't going to be useful or nice to feel. And while that's happening, you're very tempted to go do something to get rid of the feelings and the thoughts, okay, which is totally understandable. All right. I still go through this where I catch where I go, fuck, man, this is this is hard to put up with. But the truth of it is that we can actually hold those feelings and thoughts. We can actually just choose to watch them and go, it sucks. It's hard. It's heavy, but it's okay. Still alive. And when you can do that, when you can actually just sit there and watch them, and what I found is you naturally start to change your relationship to it. So at first it's hard, you'll be really emotional, and if you've never done it before, this was my experience when I was first dealing with like this big identity crisis when I left sales. It was like, I what's my thing, right? I didn't have a thing. I didn't have a thing to identify with. And man, I was just triggered. I was just so triggered. I'd see other people that were in the sales industry kicking ass, teaching it and whatever. And I was getting angry. It was really, it was hard because it just had a big attachment thing to sales with my identity. So at first, it was about feeling that anger, feeling that loss, that sense of loss and grief, feeling that anxiety of what's coming next. And then eventually, at first it was intense, but eventually what started to happen, the feelings and thoughts, they would show up, but they'd show up further away. And then I just started to see it as, okay, well, this is part of my, my wounding per se, which it is true. I put my fingers up like that because that's what some people uh, call it. But these days, I call it, our my default, right? So when I'm in my ego, myself that helps me survive, I will experience something that will come up in that form. It won't come up with sales anymore because I'm kind of over that. If it does, it doesn't actually impact me. It's like I watch, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, no, it doesn't have a hold. And that's what will eventually happen. But that core wound that, I obviously took on when I was much younger, when my ego was forming, that is going to show up in other ways in my life, which is okay, right? But at first, it was like I've got to work out how to beat this. I've got to find another thing so I don't feel like this. But when you learn about intuition, and then you learn that there's this other part of you, this other part of your consciousness and your being that's in a completely separate part to your ego, and then you visit that part and you start to associate with it, it's like, oh, actually, this problem doesn't matter over here. And you build, and again, it changes the relationship with your problems again. So, we're getting a bit further off track there, but that's just an example of like we can choose to be with our problems rather than respond to them. And it feels nasty, it feels heavy, but what that allows us to do is to take our power back, to take our voice back, and to actually start communicating in a way that's going to take us to what we want instead of solving our problems. Now, I want you to think about this. If you're experiencing emotional and mental distress and you're reacting to it while you're talking in a high stakes meeting, right? You might have experienced it with your partner on a sales call, public speaking when you get nervous, whatever it is. Quite often, what will happen, you'll resolve the problem that you have with it. It'll get you speaking in a certain way, but you won't get what you want. And this is where people, they're too nice on sales calls. They have this big problem with, being firm. Won't get into like why that is. There could be numerous reasons why, and I could list a few, but that's essentially a strategy. I'm going to be nice and be your friend because I have this thing that I don't like it when I'm being forceful. And it's not that you don't like what it does to the other person, but you don't like how you feel mainly while you're doing it. And again, rightly so. I don't like being manipulative. I can be if I want to, and I can be forceful, but I don't like doing that. But you see, if I'm able to feel the mental and emotional triggers that will get me to be a nice guy, but not respond to them, that gives me space. It gives me time to go, okay, I see what I want to do here, but I do have another option. I do have another option. And we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. But the first step is to go, there is something here in my body and on my mind that I want to solve. I don't want to be forceful, so I'm going to be nice. Or I don't want to be misunderstood, so I'm going to be more logical with my pitch, right? I've done that before. Doesn't work. Um, I I I don't want to be rejected, so I'm going to lessen myself. I'm actually going to communicate in a way where I'm not seen. People will hear me, but they won't see me. They won't see me. That's a strategy. That's a strategy. And when you think about it, guys, we're that powerful where we won't even know how we're doing it. We just do it. Like we are so freaking powerful. I am powerful. You're powerful. We are freaking magicians when it comes to working out ways to resolve our problems. But why? It's because we know those emotions so damn well. We know them so damn well. We know those thoughts so damn well. And what does that give? When we're connected to that, it gives us ways to talk. It feeds us with the energy so we can create something with our words, right? So if we know we can do that with our survival, then we can do it with our hearts. We can do it with our genius, our intuition. We can actually connect to what we'd love through our hearts, through our genius. We can use our intuition to connect to what other people would love too. And then we can create win-wins. And we can feel the emotions that come with that. And we can experience new assumptions. I won't say thoughts straight away. That will take some time, but assumptions that will help us communicate in a new way. Now, am I talking that you're going to be all la la and no resistance will come up and it's going to feel nice? No. Do you know what's actually going to happen now? I speak about this on the course. It's going to get louder. Oh no, it's like, Jordan, why the fuck am I listening to you? Stick with me, right? But this is just what happens. This is what happens. And I warn my clients about this when they start working with me. And it's the classic thing. After a workshop, I tell everyone, I go, listen, it's like a 2-day thing. After the first day, I go, without a doubt, tonight you are not gonna want to show up tomorrow because we've just started poking the bear, which is your ego. Or my one-to-one clients, as soon as they start anchoring into their intuition and following what's coming through in their genius, I say, listen, now because you're using this when the chips are down, you are going to want to stop, and your ego is going to try all these kind of ways. So the next few months, it's going to be about, really deconstructing that. And without a doubt, that's what happens because our ego, our rational self, doesn't like that it's being left alone. We're hearing it, but we're not responding to it anymore. Now, some people are like, well, that's just freaking hard. Why would I do that? Well, the first way, now, neither way is wrong or right. I'm just giving you the truth here. When you're responding to your ego, you're reinforcing your problems. Okay, and it's still a reactive state where you're like, oh God, and you're out of your center. But if you choose your hard, where it's like, well, I'm going to listen to it, but I'm not going to respond to it, and just choose to communicate from my power. Yes, it's still going to be as hard as putting up with your ego, but at least here you have a choice. You're moving in the direction of what you love. And you know what happens at the start? It is tough, but after a while, you just learn how to deal with it. You learn how to deal with it. It's hard. You experience new emotions, they're intense, but after a while, it just falls. And then there's a new thing. There's a new thing that ego tries, and then you learn. Okay. And then eventually you become so skilled at it that when you get triggered, it's just not a problem. It's like, okay, well, this is what's happening right now. Ego is trying to get me to respond to it. So your relationship to pain changes. Your relationship to pain, mental and emotional pain, changes because you're going after what you love. You know that there's this other part of you. And that's when you can start to wield your power in high stakes conversations. It's just that switch. Now, are there communication strategies? Yes. Are there sales techniques? Yes. But they will not work. You will not get the full extent of what you can get if you're responding to old mate ego and not knowing it. You won't, okay? And for most people, guys, like I'm talking about that being in the heat of the moment. You'll just have to apply what I'm talking here to even get into the rooms. Because again, I'm said with love here, the majority of people that I coach, that I speak to, they don't want to actually get in the rooms. They don't get in the rooms. They don't start the conversations. But it's because there's something at stake. There's a high stake there. And with this, with just learning, it's like, okay, well, I've got a problem here I'm trying to avoid, but there's something over here that I love. If I just allow myself to experience this problem in my body and my mind and not respond to it while staying on what I want, I can get in that room. And not only can I get in that room, I can influence and I can lead in that room. Okay. And that is the start to really, owning your voice in these scenarios, but also realizing that the ego is just doing its job. It's trying to keep you safe. And at each new level, when you get past a certain thing, it realizes, oh, we didn't die. We didn't die. I spoke in front of 50 people. We didn't die. 1,000. Ooh, I've never spoken in front of 1,000, but like speaking in front of 1,000, it's fine. It's okay. I did it. I did it. And it realizes that once you've created it. But if you avoid the thing, it's going to continually pull you back, pull you back, pull you back. And it's Stephen Pressfield. If you haven't read the book, I'd highly recommend you go read. It's not about communication, but he talks about resistance. And this is what we're discussing here. It's resistance. You've got your heart and you've got your ego, and the two are at each other. Okay, or more so, your ego's at your heart the majority of the time. But it's about just realizing that and putting the power in your heart and polarizing against this survival part of you. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's the message for today. Feel it, think it, but don't act on it. Don't act on it. Okay. Don't act on it. And that will just give yourself a chance to reorientate into what you love when you're communicating. If you are someone who you know you've got sales conversations to have, you want to get on stage and speak, or you actually are in these rooms, but pressure, it's a thing for you. It's a thing that you'd like to get better at handling. Go get this new course. It's $27. I go through a wide range of practices that I guide you through that help you neutralize pressure, because that's essentially what we're discussing here. When we're able to neutralize pressure, that's when we can actually step into owning our voice and being influential. But you got to get that part right first, because as I said, the minute you start becoming powerful, ego is going to come in and start heaping it on you. So that's what we talk about in the course. If you want to go get access, head to the show notes, or the description down below on YouTube, and get yourself inside. But apart from that, guys, if you've enjoyed today's episode, hit that subscribe button and we'll see you next time.